All right, good people. Welcome back for another recap review show here at Big Old Belt Media for Power Book 4 for season 2, jumping into episode 5, Crown Vic, which is certainly an episode that we're going to have a lot to talk about. My feelings are hurt, and I'm going to have to get over it very soon because we're just halfway through this season. I just cannot believe the events of this episode. However, I was right, so y'all already know what it is. Get in the comments and let me know that I was, because I said she was going to get back on it.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that this episode, sir.
But
even if you thought she was, you didn't think it was going to be for this reason.
No, I didn't. No, not at all. This is an amazingly written episode. And also the writers' strike is over, so our writers are going to be getting back to work. So shout out to all of the power writers that's going to continue to write us amazing content. Sammy and Adam, who co-wrote this episode, did a fantastic job in this. And our director Lisa also came through and just put together probably one of the best episodes we've seen in a while. This episode was just really fantastic. But before we break it all down, let me get all my announcements out of the way. First off, I want to give some love and a huge shout out to our guests from last week at the Random TV Reviews crew. Y'all loved it. Y'all was in the comments like, bring them back. We want to have them back every week, man. That was dope. And that's not to take away from anybody from previous week before that, because I've been loving this the entire time. But certainly was a bucket list of mine to have them on, Stanley and Lynette. And what a fantastic episode we had on our collaboration live show each and every Sunday, 9 p.m. And this week we just back at it again. So yes, this Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to have none other than my guy Lamont Tyson finally blessing the channel. I've done some work with him numerous times, and it was only right that we let him pull up a seat to the table and kick it with me and Lou for our live show. So yes, Lamont Tyson coming through this Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You all be there as we do what we do. We cover those 3 hot topics of each week, which means get in the comments tonight. Let us know the topics you want us to cover for Sunday, and we got you. So there's that. And we also got some additional content dropping. We got an interview that will be available. Just look on the channel. It'll be right there. And it's not too much of a surprise, because if you could do process of elimination, like, well, who could he talk to? Who could he talk to? Obviously, we can't talk to actors because of the strike. Obviously, we're doing our collaboration thing on Sunday, so it's not a content creator. And the writer's strike just got cleared, so writers aren't just yet jumping out there for interviews. So that only just takes us to the director, and none other than, as I mentioned, the fantastic Lisa coming through, who directed this episode. That interview is available on the channel right now. So I'm going to talk to Lisa about the decisions that was made in this episode. And one of the biggest decisions is killing one of the best characters in all of Power to me.
I feel the same way. Guy and Tommy, I mean, when I read the script and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm killing off Tommy Flanagan and Paulie. Oh my goodness. And so it was important to me to make sure that their deaths warranted, that they got the proper send-off, And so Tommy Flanagan, being the OG, right, he needed a big epic death, right? And that's what I promised him when we talked about it. It was like, right? And so, it was storyboarding and shot listing and meeting with the stunt coordinator and making sure the stunt coordinator rehearsed the day before with all of the stuntmen.
And I know people been kind of back and forth with it and whatnot, but there's no denying the talent in the acting. And there's just so much more I felt like this character probably could have brought to the table, but I think that deaths have to make sense. You just don't cancel Christmas just for the sake of pleasing the fans. And I will say the ripple effect of this decision truly has me locked in for the rest of the season. So I just want to definitely give a shout out to our man Tommy Flanagan, none other than Walter Flynn, who gone too soon, but it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting how it plays out. But listen, let me also not also forget another fantastic actor who also left this episode as well too, in Uncle Paulie, who's played by Guy Swearinger. This is, I swear, I've been trying to get an interview with Guy since season 1. I think we were overly impressed with the introduction of Paulie. That confrontation between Paulie and Tommy, and I just knew Paulie was going to be a special character. And there's still so much on the table with this character. I mean, we had the moment with his son. I guess we got a little bit of resolve when he said he felt his son and he felt Walter. So, you know, he wanted to at least make that right since he couldn't make it with his son, which I think is a true statement. When you think about people with addictions and way gone on the street, there may not be no resolution or happy ending to that. And that's sort of a sad, you know, sort of decision or sad amount of peace he had to make with that. But I guess we were still, and a lot of you all were also thinking too, what would happen if the bad drugs got to Paulie's son? What would that do to Paulie? And they didn't go that route at all. We didn't have another scene with Paulie and his son. We ultimately had Paulie going out with the highest degree of loyalty, something Vic knows nothing about, but obviously very much used it in this episode. But rest in peace to two characters tonight, and Walter Flynn and Uncle Paulie, man. So what an episode. So Crown Vic, are you ready, Uncle Lou? You ready to get into it? You ready to get into this episode?
We told you coming into this week. For everyone who forgot, it's the 5th episode that brings out everything. Yeah. And this was that episode that, man, it had its moments. I'm ready. I know when you was talking about, you know, deaths we would miss, I didn't know if he was going to bring up, or I didn't know if he was talking about Jenard and Diamond's father, who gone too soon. The episode we met him was the episode he was gone in. Very quick. Very quick. Hard to see another Black King pass away. that was something. But it's surreal. I think there was a lot of truth in the conversations that was being had there. But no, definitely talk about Paulie and Walter and the phenomenal job. Finding new ways to take drugs. It's so
no. Jenard is finding the right ways to do the drug. That's the sad part about it.
But we're gonna go back. But the moment dude said, "Oh man, you wasted it," and Jenard like, "Nah, this is good for me. I don't like needles." But the moment he stuck that needle in him, I ain't gonna tell y'all what I thought Jenard was going to do.
Me too. Me too. Oh, man, yep.
He already sucking pipe for drugs. I said, they're making this transition way too fast for me.
Yeah, it got wild, man. It got wild. I'm still just thinking about like Tommy Flanagan and Guy Van Swearinger, and it's gone, man. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Like it's shocking that this at the midpoint of the season we lose two of the main characters of this show. And normally you would think when you lose those two, like it was done sloppily. It wasn't here. It made perfectly good sense why both of them were knocked off here. But boy, is that still a hit to this show, because Tommy and Guy are hard to replace. Yeah.
Whew. Let's start off with Tommy and D-Mac. Tommy Egan, that is, folks. Panicking on what to do. You know, D-Mac pulled the trigger on the cop. And Tommy's very clear to D-Mac, like, listen, man, it ain't no we here. You need to lay your ass low. Diamond took care of the body. So obviously there's quick resolve to this. No one misses Samus, especially me. Especially all of you all, because you all were in the comments on every review, like good riddance. Not one person had a theory about that character. They was just like, oh yeah, he's gone, goodbye. But what we did get is a sense of understanding in a situation like this, how everything's handled. D-Mac, very immature, definitely panicking to exactly should I say, he panicked exactly how I would predict that character to panic.
Yeah.
Completely out of his element, way out of his lane, had no business even in the place in the first place, and ultimately not understanding the ramifications of what he did and why he's like, oh, it's a cop, he's going to take me down, my life is over, blah 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 blah. Sure. And he's saying these things because it sounds like he's reading the script, like he saw this on television or something, right? And and Tommy is the one that's trying to create the realistic factor that, like, bruh, you got to chill, lay low. Uncle Tommy got you. Diamond took care of the body. It's over. It's over. Do you have anything to add to this initial quick opening of Tommy and D-Mac?
It was just the panic of D-Mac. We saw here just how much of a kid he was. And this is weird because we're introduced to D-Mac. He is someone in the streets. But this puts the correlation that he never did anything when he was in those streets. He is super panicked in this scene where he doesn't know what to do. He's thinking everything bad that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
Which also, again, puts back to the thought process that this is not D-Mac's life.
Yeah.
It makes perfectly good sense when Tommy's like, you're going to follow what I say do. You're going to do what I say do. You're going to stay in here until I figure this out.
Yeah.
But again, I think it was important to show that, because I think someone in our comments said it last week, like when we compared D-Mac to, not last week, but with a conversation with Lynette and Stanley, where they said, well, don't compare D-Mac to Tariq because D-Mac is in the streets and Tariq was privileged. And here in this scene, we see just because the upbringing was different and you think that meant that D-Mac was a street guy, you quickly learn here that is not the case. Even when Tariq killed Ray Ray, he did not seem this panicked about it. And that was him killing a cop. He was not this panicked.
Yeah.
He is losing it. And I love that they showed this correlation. So you get the difference between him, Tariq, and him versus a actual guy who's in the street and who can mentally handle the situation when D-Mac can't.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Going to treason, which everything's in turmoil here because they need product, and Jenard is very much aware that it's a hard time for them to get more product. And they even say my favorite line, Jenard, everyone knows you're down bad. Everyone knows you also are not connected with Miguel no more. And Jenard is basically asking his last few remaining members of his crew to just stay loyal. So, beyond the statement of Jenard being down bad, he's way over his head in this game here, and he doesn't have any connect. The folks are trying to get product. He's asking about products, talking about, oh y'all already got rid of that, as if that was a bad thing. So, Jenard is just all over the place, and without a doubt, it's no secret that everybody knows that Jenard is on the drugs, and that is messing up his alliance. Like, folks knows it's bad for business. And if I may sort of just toss it to you, and not by experience or anything here, but just in case, just in case there seems to be any confusion, why is it such a bad for business thing that he's on it? What's the big concern? Because this is like everybody party, everybody drinks, everybody do a little something. Why is it bad that Jenard is on it and no one wants to do business with it? What's the optics of this here?
He broke, to put it in the simplest terms that everyone can understand, because it's a song that most people should have heard. Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments. One of the biggest commandments was never get high on your own supply. And that's the problem. It's not that he's necessarily doing drugs. It's that he's doing his drugs, which means I can't trust you, because once I feel it's different from doing it to party. Coke is a party drug. Lots of people do it to party. Heroin is not a party drug. So when they see him doing it and they see him constantly doing it, it goes from recreational use to an addiction. And when they think you're addicted to it, there's no way anyone would do business with you, because it's no telling how you're gonna fuck up the money. And I think they did an amazing job this episode of showing the facial expressions that we get from Chris this episode playing Jenard. Is highly important because he seems high all the time. And the moment that you seem high all the time, there's no way in hell that we could do business.
Yeah.
Like with drugs? So you think I'm going to do business with a person who's addicted to drugs with drugs? Yeah. And think that that's going to be positive for either one of us. Yeah. And that's the problem here, is that it's clear as day that Jenard is hooked. In the streets, we'll always talk. And once that comes out in the streets, because we saw what happened in the last episode, where the other crew clearly went back and said, he on that shit. He ain't got his connect no more. Don't work with him. And everybody listened, because street gossip travels faster than any other form of gossip. So that was enough to ruin Jenard. And so when he goes back and he's like, man, like, I just need y'all to stick with me. He even understands, like, it's out what I'm doing. There's no way anyone's going to want to work with me in any form, because they think if I give him money, he may take the drugs and do it himself instead of rearing up or doing whatever he needs to do to make sure the business is right. So again, we don't get to see this correlation. Everyone wanted to compare Jenard to Franklin, but this aspect of being hooked on drugs, you've never seen before, because Snowfall never showed Franklin getting hooked. You just got to the end part where he was already on drugs. Here with Jenard, we're seeing a progression of these drugs taking over everything from him. And that's the first time in this genre of shows, I want to say possibly since The Wire, that we've really seen it.
Yeah. All right. I don't get the whole Franklin correlation, especially since like Franklin being shrunk out was like at the very end.
It's lazy. It's the lazy correlation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, Jenard's just like Franklin.
Yeah.
It took Franklin 7 years to get hooked on drugs. 7. And
it took Jenard 3 days.
Yeah. When Franklin was the man, Franklin never touched drugs. He only touched them when he was down bad. Jenard, on the other hand, this episode does a great job of showing partially why he took drugs even to begin with.
Yeah. So Diamond is at the diner here, and he gets the message about Sid, who initially we don't know who Sid is, but come to find out Sid is his father. And with that, he finds out that his father, him and Jenard's father, Sid, is in hospice. So, he's, doesn't have much time to live. And, it's being told to Jenard, to Diamond more times than none in this episode about, needing to make things right. Yeah. And while he's just over there trying to have him a little grub and whatnot, man, here's something I did not expect. So we get Jenard's road crew of treason. Crew. The RDs that come and light up. Crew. Yeah, RDs. Yep. The come and light up the diner where Diamond is at here. A couple of things. Hold on, let me finish up with that real fast before I talk about my thoughts. And with this too, there's some bystanders, and Diamond grabs the gun. He doesn't shoot, but I think he has like the utmost concern. My thoughts about this is that obviously we know Diamond's not scared to shoot the gun, so it's not that. But I think he also looked around and noticed that there was a bystander. Somebody already got hurt. Throwing more bullets in the air wasn't going to help anything. Also, him being shot at this location is definitely very personal, because that and it's strategical because that's his spot. We know that that's what Diamond goes to on a regular, and this isn't really a target place of crime. So we know that it had to be something that had to be close, personal, and so he doesn't want to mess up that, because obviously this isn't just why it is an attack on him. There's obviously others that could be hurt, and plenty of people got shot in this. So I think this is a result of why Diamond made this decision that he makes later, is because like he doesn't want others getting hurt regardless of the business that he's doing. But the other big thing I wanted to say was, man, somebody taking a shot at Diamond for what? What did he do? What did he do?
Association. I think it's just association.
because we talk a lot about the respect Diamond has on the streets. So it's like, these had to be some knucklehead, low level folks. And like, he talked about like the previous beefs. But why the beef now? There's already blood spread on the streets. It's already hot. You had to be somebody on treason's level, as he's mentioned. It's just Jenard's crew or road treasons folks that's now in RD. So it's like, so anybody that deals with Jenard is just a bunch of idiots at this point now. Y'all didn't just learn what Little K just did, and look what y'all went and did. Just shut up a whole nother shop of folks.
Remember, they always wanted to respond.
For sure.
Because what Tommy did. So to them, this makes perfectly, this is the code of the streets. And Diamond brings that up later in the episode to Tommy, like, this is all your fault. You did one thing and it had a ripple effect that for some odd reason you didn't see coming. Yeah. So they shot at Diamond because of what Tommy did. And this is their chance for payback. I found it more interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be. I've been trying to remember. Who was Diamond shot since getting out of jail?
The Serbs.
He shot at the Serbs.
He killed somebody there. I mean, I don't think we went too much into detail, but he was shooting.
No. All I remember him killing is him running over somebody.
Yeah.
Diamond didn't. So the question is, how comfortable is he right now being the man of the change that he's done of him pulling the trigger against somebody? I don't think that's a throwaway scene to show him with that gun in his hand where he clearly could have shot them. And he was not concerned about that body in front of him. I think it was more concerned like, this not me. Like, I don't believe in this.
I mean, and we talked about it. I think you bring up a good point. I think we can obviously keep an eye out on this for episodes to come, but we talked about it that like, this is a cage animal here and he doing his best to not get back to his old self. There's been more reminders than none than him keep saying like he don't want the old Diamond before he went in to come back out. You said it in a couple of your analysis of certain things that who was Diamond before he went in.
Beforehand,
yeah. And even his dad gave that tidbit earlier about, well, why did they call you Diamond? And obviously this is a guy that deals good under pressure, which in this situation would happen. He looked a little nervous. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. He looked a little nervous in that. And I don't know, was he trying to just calculate the pros and cons of shooting back or whatever it may be? Sense. But yeah, it's definitely something to make of that. And frankly, you have to think deep in a scene like this, because what's the point? Anybody could have called him and said, hey, Diamond, your dad's in hospice. Yes, it's his spot that he goes to, but why the shootout had to happen here? It's a very intentional scene, one way or another. So I think we have to kind of look and see how that's going to play out. So you all
gotta wonder, we remember this. A neutered animal. It's not a bad thing, because some people just change.
Yeah.
And Diamond is really about peace more than anything else.
Yeah.
And this is what's interrupting his peace. And could it be that his time behind bars actually changed him? We don't get to see it often, but this may have actually changed him, to him thinking like, man, that's not the way to do this no more.
Yeah. I mean, it ain't long before he become Muslim, and
already assumed he was Muslim.
Brother Diamond.
That way for a reason.
Yeah. Brother Diamond, I'm surprised.
David X. Not Diamond, David X.
We go to
how that, matter of fact, my bad. I'm sorry for being disrespectful for calling him David X. It would have been Abdul Makud X or something of that name. It damn sure wasn't gonna be David. Damn sure not. No, we're not using the white man's name. Nah, now they put an X behind it, buddy. But again, I'm more interested now in seeing how this progresses, this character, because we've not gotten deep into the psyche of Diamond. And if we can get deep into his psyche of why he does the things that he does, I think this, again, it's elements in this episode that can elevate Force to possibly being deeper than the original Power with these characters.
And I also think like it's important for us to not know so much about Diamond because his character comes off as completely guarded. I mean, the conversation with his dad solidified that is that this is a guy that just doesn't. He's kind of cold, and then like he just reserved, and even we'll talk about it a little bit later. But like even when when Jenard comes and Jenard is breaking down, he just like, all right, so you want to come at the CBI? Like motherfucker, didn't your dad just say on his dying bed that he wanted you the reason he got into the game? That wasn't a positive thing.
We got to talk about that because to me it was way more twofold than that. That's a hell of a conversation.
Oh, no doubt.
Between him and his dad, to him and Jenard.
Yeah, no doubt.
Protected the shit out of a Jenard in that conversation.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Not want him to know.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, man, that was a conversation, Joe.
We get Maria giggling over Tommy's text. Giggling over Tommy's text because Tommy, no matter what, does text back. And her co-worker is like, you can't be texting Dr. Kendall because he's in surgery. And Maria is like, whatever. I don't know who you talking about here. So Maria is definitely all googly-eyed over Tommy. And the question, and it's not really a question, but the thing to keep in mind right now is she truly in love with Tommy or is she playing the game? We'll see. Tommy got his whip back, just in case y'all didn't realize that. And Tommy comes to the shop and he has questions here. First question is, do you see what's happening on the streets? And Diamond says he's a dirty cop. Nobody's going to find him. Seamus is gone. He's gone. So you don't have to worry about that. He talked about Slick. He's talking about Slick Spot got shot up. So he's talking about the diner. He said they came in blasting. He references the RD and CBI beef back in the day. He wants to, and Diamond wants to know what you do with D-Mac. I told him to lay low and tell him off the streets. But he said, oh, really? Just for D-Mac to be right outside the barbershop talking to the feds. So Tommy is, of course, Tommy at this point now takes him home, kirking, letting him know, like, you're not listening. Oh, typical Tommy, rightfully so. JP comes to his son's defense, and Kate comes in looking on to whatever's happening here. So there's a lot that's kind of happening. I don't think there's anything to really talk about here. We just event after event of Tommy and Diamond kind of catching up on the murder of Seamus and the handling of JP. And actually, let me just say this really quickly. Diamond's asking the right questions, but also Diamond is evaluating Tommy because you can't have it both ways, my guy. You made it very clear about how he needs to handle Jenard.
Yep.
So don't tuck your tail when Diamond says, I know that's your nephew, in all due respect, but you're gonna have to handle that. He can't just be out here on these streets talking. So Tommy, and much like they do all the time when Tommy is looking down the barrel of the gun, they do that little zoom in little moment of Tommy looking kind of dazed and say, I'll take care of it. So like, we'll see. At this point, we obviously was gonna say, well, we'll see how he handled this. But yeah, we'll get down to it more in a little bit. So we got Vic and Claudia. Brendan Doyle's over at the crib. I'm sorry, Vic is talking to Claudia, and Claudia talks about Doyle being over at the crib. And then Vic gets snatched up. So when Vic gets snatched up, he's in interrogation. And all they want to know is who was Vic with when he killed Colin. So they're bringing him in for the killing of Colin, which we know is the result of last week with the homegirl pointing him out on the roster. And they say, listen, your way out is working with us. And obviously he wants a lawyer. And after that, they got to let Vic go. But Stacey Marks ain't trying to let it happen. But everybody else, especially Bobby, is saying, let him go. We got to let him go. I'm sorry. Other way around. Yes, Stacey is telling Bobby to let it go.
Let him go.
Yeah, and this is the husband-wife conversation here because Bobby is definitely wondering, like, is she doing all of this for the granular sort of nod for her run into the mayor's office, but she does with her remarks back and saying that, listen, we give him enough rope, he'll fuck up. They always do, and we'll use him to get to Tommy. Here is my issue. Is Tommy the bigger dog than Vic? What is your thoughts about that?
Hell no.
That's what I'm like.
Flynn. How the hell would Tommy be the bigger person to get? And the person's already told you Vic committed a murder. And she's like, nah, put him back on the streets. We'll get Tommy. Wouldn't Walter be the bigger get? Clearly Walter's the bigger get. But it shows that,
you know how it is, power
that Stacy has.
Yeah.
Every road leads to Tommy. No one else. Granted, I have someone in front of me who I know committed murder. I haven't witnessed that they committed murder. They're the second in command in one of the biggest drug organizations humanly possible that everyone knows about.
Yeah.
And yet and still, that's not enough for me. I need to get Tommy. It makes no sense.
I swear, man, that when these folks get their hard on for their power folks, if it ain't Tariq, it's Tommy, and they got blinders on like they horses, man. Like there's no rationale about the other folks that potentially, especially with Stacy not even having a connection to Tommy, but obviously Stacy using this because this will obviously help her and her getting into the mayor's office. But like, how is Walter in your own city not a bigger deal?
The biggest thing humanly possible. Stacy Knox be tripping, Joe. We know where this is going. We know where this is going.
Yeah, man. D-Mac at the crib, texting his shawty, Kate trying to figure out what's all going on. So, you know, Kate doing her little tactics to figure out, you know, what Tommy and JP and D-Mac was all fussing about. But, you know, she does her Kate ways, and she's like, D-Mac, man, what's up? What you up to, man? You can tell grandma anything. And D-Mac, he's like, I know that look. And D-Mac talk about Genesis she finds. So he's giving mom the spill. And then Kate says, here's a 20. Kate absolutely looks like a Newport woman. But she provides.
That is clearly Marlboro Lights.
Or Camels.
Virginia Slims. You know, Kate loves Virginia Slim.
But listen, Kate down with the black dudes, so don't forget Newports.
if Kate on Newport, it's Newport 100s. Because Kate ain't smoking no regular Newport, Joe. Those are Newport 100s.
Kate would do anything to force a conversation with a black guy. She's just like that. I got these Newports.
What's some other jokes? American Heritage, the Indian jokes.
Hey, she listen. She just 1 second away from having some Black and Miles. That's it. Right behind her ear.
1 second away from having some Capones.
That's what I was thinking about a second ago. Capones. Yeah. But she says, here's a 20. Take as long as you need. And get some Trojans if you need some. So she just provides D-Mac a way of getting out the house. I don't know what she was thinking, but I think she's just trying to stay in favor of her grandson, and so it's on par.
I like this scene because it showed what all grandmothers do.
Oh yeah.
Just because your parent put you on punishment, who cares, baby?
Override. Yep.
Go get something for me. Spend as much time as you need, and you can keep the change. Do what you need to do. Like it was. It was a true grandmother move. It was something that we don't get. Again, it's always a lot with Kate's things we don't get the norm of seeing her do.
Minus the lottery ticket. She only part that's not accurate.
She'd have told D-Mac to go play her numbers. If she told D-Mac to play her numbers,
play my numbers, baby. Play my numbers, baby.
Play my numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Pick 3, pick 4. Give me a pack of Newport 100s
and now
and a cold Pepsi.
Die and play your birthday. That's my lucky number.
You better play your birthday. If you ain't playing shit else, you better play your birthday, damn it. Because your birthday been coming out all week and I ain't hit yet.
Biggest lie told, because that number damn sure ain't come out. So Jenard walking through the projects now, and homeboy coming up to him, letting him know this ain't your hood no more. Markovich letting him know that that payment due, so the Serbs are still on his ass. But Jenard sees a small transaction goes on inside of a whip. He jumps in there, and we introduced to Manny Fresh, not of Cash Money or the Hot Boys or Young Money or anything he was with, or he wasn't with Young Money, but Cash Money and whatever. But not that Manny Fresh. That would have been something. But
Manny Fresh is a studs, so you never know.
Yeah. But Jenard not only steals 2 bricks of coke from Manny, but also runs that chain. And like, before we even talk about like after this, I think there's like, I mean, Manny is clearly looking like Jenard, like, what? Like, it's me. And I obviously I know there's a means of desperation here, but I don't know, man. As a person who's not a thief, like, is it responsible to steal from somebody that clearly knows who you are, that clearly knows how to find you? I'm confused about the tactic of stealing what appears to be from his own folks.
Manny is partially it's her fault, because you got to notice that crackhead look when somebody give it to you. You got to notice when, because remember, she spoke to Jenard immediately. Hey, what's going on? She's not paying attention to him though. Yeah, because if she'd have paid attention to him, I think she'd have drew down on him. And
so she just off her game, because everybody knows he's on the shit that we already talked about it. So she just completely off her game, too comfortable.
Yes, and she may not know the key elements in the streets, but it seems like she's just, I want to say she's a regular hustler, but she had 2 bricks on her. You got to make it make sense here. Either she got those bricks on her own, but she would still have somebody with her. Like, or why no one else in that hood was like paying attention to her getting robbed in bright daylight in that car.
Yeah, you know what?
Somebody need to pay attention.
They had to cut that scene, because the way how he got out of that hood was something I had questions about.
Hey, what the fuck was he? Superman? Did he fly away?
I had questions.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Ain't no way you getting out of her car after robbing her and everybody not know. Or her draw down on you.
I immediately
bad for him.
I immediately was like, what is the scene after this? And in fact, the scene right after this was not at all what I thought it was, because it is Jenard getting back to the crew, talk about, man, I he got the stuff. They're like, oh, my nigga back. So everybody hyped that he got his stuff. He said he got it from Miguel, which everybody quickly knew that he did not get it from Miguel, because
the chain.
Yeah, the chain. So the suspicions of everybody knew Miguel wasn't fucking with him. He tries to come back and say, I'm back. I got 2 bricks. So he's like, yeah, I got it from Miguel. Try to make it seem like they're all good again. But then the chain's like, hey, ain't that Manny Fresh chain? And Diamond, I keep always getting them confused. Jenard definitely tried to play it off. So there's that.
This is my chain.
Yeah.
Crackhead nigga. It doesn't work that way. I know that chain.
Everybody knows everybody's chain. You know what I mean? So
that's like walking. That is equivalent to Jenard being with Bad Boy and walking up with a Rockefeller chain and saying, "Nah, nigga, this is my chain." No, nigga, it's not. I know that's not your chain. It was very obvious.
Do you remember when the internet first became a vicious place? When Young Bird got his chain snatched twice and people would get online and post videos.
Oh,
wild times.
I remember when Young Bird, before he became Hitmaker, when he was robbed a multitude of times that nigga was getting his chain taken like every week.
That's just wild, bro. And like, folks went on the internet. This when the gangsters find out about the internet. It's like, oh, we gotta post this. You want this? Come find it.
Everybody started getting their chain took.
Yeah,
that was the thing, to take your chain and post that shit on the internet. Like, yeah, nigga, I got it. Yep. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
it was so wild time, reckless time.
I don't know what
up there openly committing crimes and posting it on the internet with reckless abandon, because they were showing their face and all. They didn't even know no better.
I don't know what happened over the landscape of the world, but for whatever reason, just stopped. Nobody chain gets snatched and posted no more. People still reckless. Cause
it was around the time when Lil Wayne told them real G's move in silence like lasagna, and they was like, you know what? You may be right. Maybe we shouldn't be posting about taking people's equipment.
And that did not stop folks online doing their dues.
Well, no,
Tekashi 6ix9ine is still out there.
No, they still take the chains down. They just don't post their own face. You never see their face now. It's right here. Unless shout out to Benny the Butcher, who did take Freddie Gibbs' chain and polish the choke. Oh yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
what you gonna do about it? Like, Freddie Gibbs. I'm sorry, it's Freddie Gibbs' chain.
So we got Vic, Brendan, and Claudia. So Claudia and Vic finalized the plan with Brendan to kill Walter, and I couldn't believe this was happening. But let me tell you what I really liked about the scene, and anybody who's a Marvel nerd probably ate this scene up too. So we get introduced to Big Red, who is from Dublin, who is a deadly assassin. And I love that Claudia, I think it was Claudia and Vic, but definitely Claudia, that said, oh yeah, we've heard that before. Yeah, true, because the last time y'all hyped up some folks from Dublin, they came and got washed. So he says, listen, they were the 4 horsemen. I am the apocalypse. And I know it's like a biblical, I think that's a biblical reference as well too, but in Marvel too, that is like the 4 horsemen work for apocalypse. So it's like, they were then, so I'm this. Okay, so I'm buying this. That's a good analogy. That was well wrote and well said by Big Red. So I'm expecting Big Red to come through looking like anybody play Call of Duty. You know, when you get 12 kills and you get that little tank what do you call it? The care pack, not the care package, the kill streak, the 12 kill streak joint, and a big tank come in with all the armor, and you got the Gatling gun, it just go crazy. I'm expecting Big Red to come through this joint and just be a one-man crew and wash everybody. And we'll talk about that later, because Big Red, I'm just gonna say for what it is. Dublin is 0-2. They look good on paper, but right now,
I mean, remember Walter had soldiers too.
He had a few people too, though. He wasn't by himself.
Yeah, but he had like the Navy SEALs. He had like 4 people.
Hey, listen.
Walter had a whole army.
Listen,
and then he was killed because someone double crossed him that he wasn't expecting to double cross them. It wasn't like he was. It wasn't like he was. And you.
No. Brent.
What happened?
No. Big Red was killed by Walter.
He was killed by Walter, but remember, it was him facing off with Vic because it caught him off guard. Because he's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be with us. And then they start shooting at each other, which gave the opportunity for Walter to shoot him.
I gotta look at that again. I swear I didn't see Vic coming to the scene. We'll talk about it in a second. But either way, like they're setting it all up here, and I just can't believe this is all happening. And they say Brendan says that Big Red is going to be leading the team. And they lay out the plan to say, hey, you got to keep Walter occupied till 9, get him nice and drunk. And they asked about, well, what about Uncle Paulie? This is Claudia drawing concern for Uncle Paulie, and says, oh, he's fired, so he won't be there. So after the events at the diner, Diamond reaches out to King Kilo from prison, and he's looking to make a deal so that everybody can join forces. So this is to mitigate the whole issue with this RD and CBI beef that somehow, some way became relevant again. And with that, you know, Kendra was the one still working in the prisons for him, dropped off the phone so he can make the call or whatnot. But he makes a very bold claim and saying, all right, cool, I'm down, but I also want half the business, half the distro while I'm in the joint. Yeah. And obviously Tommy didn't like that. He hangs up the phone. What is your thoughts about King Kilo, his proposal here, and Tommy's response and answer to it? What is your thoughts about all that?
First, shout out to what I believe was Big Baby Glenn Davis playing King Kilo.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah, that look like Big Baby Glenn Davis. I'm not bugging. Because when I saw it, I said, "That's Big Baby." I know Big Baby.
No,
When I see
dog.
Big Baby.
There's no way.
And
I
then
didn't
paid
even
attention.
I didn't even
That is
peep. Hold on, bro.
definitely
There's no
Big
way.
Baby Glenn Davis.
There's no way that's Big Baby, bro.
Definitely, that is definitely Big Baby. I know. I kept on looking like that's a Big Baby. I know what Big Baby Glenn Davis look like. That's definitely him.
He definitely did kind of look like Big Baby, but there's no way that was Big Baby.
hey, this one. We go back to the pictures. You gonna see you like, I be damn, that was Big Baby. Yeah,
Hey, dog, hold on, dog. I have to confirm if that's Big Baby now. Go ahead, go ahead, your thought. I'll find out if this is Big Baby or
once
not.
that happened, what he suggested made sense, because Diamond is doing this for peace. Cool, we can have peace, but peace comes at a price. So for him to say, "I want just half the prison,"
hey, bro, it's Big Baby.
I know it's Big Baby. I'm not crazy. I know what Big Baby look like.
Hey, yo, that just blew me, bro. I did not. I looked and I said, "Nah, this. Why? Continue. Go ahead, bro. I'm done."
But yeah, it makes sense for that deal to be made and for him to think like this is the way to broker this peace. As Diamond said, I'm on a coalition where we all move as one. But in all honesty, if we all move as one and you're not only controlling the outside, but you're also controlling the inside, what incentives do I have? Yeah. And that's when he came up with, nah, I get half an operation in here. Yeah. And I think Diamond would have went for it immediately. It was Tommy that was apprehensive about it, about making that type of deal, of thinking it's a better opportunity there. But that was a hell of an offer of saying, yes, my people will give you peace, but this is the price for peace.
Yeah.
And he could have been an ass and said half of your business. He said half of what happens in prison. That's cool. Well, I ain't cool with Rojas anymore anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking, like, my man asking for half while he's in jail, but also CBI is running everything in jail right now, because even the serbs are at a bind of like not being able to do what they do. Huh?
But clearly, King has some impact on what happens on the inside and the outside.
Must be.
Diamond is asking for peace.
Yeah.
He's asking for them so we don't have no more bodies in the street. So could King be in charge of Jenard's little dudes who left him? And Diamond's like, dog, they're going to keep on coming. I have no other option. Yeah. Either I broker a peace deal or these little dudes eventually going to kill me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Big Baby in the Power Universe. Who would have thought? Maria and Dr. Kendall, and so this is like the worst breakup ever. Maria asks Dr. Kendall if he loves her, and he doesn't answer. So I guess he doesn't love her, and then she says, well, I don't love you, and life is too short. And while all this is happening, Miguel is taking a look from the car because Miguel is there to pick her up, and so she's not taking the bus. And notice she gets grabbed a little bit here, but he gets out and say, you want me to say something to her? Say something to him? He's like, nah. Yeah. What is your thoughts about this? Because we know what's to come later, but I mean, we've been questioning if Maria potentially may be the one truly running things right now. Was there any indication that is true in this scene? Did you pick up on anything between what's happening right now?
Definitely no indication that she saw a dude as a threat. She never did.
Okay.
I think this is a ego play by Miguel.
Okay.
Like, he has to feel like he's still protecting his sister. But from the other end of that, we can tell she didn't need protection. Yeah. She didn't seem out of place at all. But I think this is just Miguel being Miguel. And like, hey, man, I'll take care of it. Just let me know, because you're my sister. And it was more like her not caring at all. So I think that's the transitional play here that we get, is that Miguel feels the need to prove, like, I'm your ultimate protector. And Maria's in a place where that's not necessary for her. I don't need you to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I like this, the way this dynamic played. At the point it is that they just got a regular person for this role, for the doctor. Like, nobody extravagant. Perfect.
Yeah, just some Chicago native, just getting a quick booking real quick.
I had my guy from New Amsterdam, and I'll be like,
no, they won't. Shit, no, they won't. And actually, I just saw him in something, and I was definitely surprised. What did I just see him in? I saw him in something. I was like, hold on, is that my guy from New Amsterdam? Oh, he's in American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the new American Horror Story next to your favorite actor, Kim Kardashian.
Oh, yeah, that's my dad. Like, that she's going to win an Oscar. How? For a television show? I ain't figured that out yet. She's clearly going to win one. When she said, tell them niggas suck my big clit, I said, you know what? That's Oscar. Clap it. Give it to Kim. Emmys, Golden Globes, Oscars, everything. Grammys. She's about to get everything. She's about to be EGOT off of American Horror Story.
Yeah, imagine that. So Claudia and Brendan Doyle, who clearly likes Claudia. Let me rephrase that. Clearly loves Claudia, and she clearly isn't into him. As she has these moments of really self-reflection, looking in the mirror, and I think she's trying to. She's understanding her objectives, her goals here, and she's still playing the game. He's into her. I know a lot of folks are saying that maybe she could marry into Dublin, and that could potentially make her, royalty or whatever, or eligible in order for her to run the empire, or whatnot. But like, that's never been a consideration there, because she's just basically, and as we know, Claudia is playing chess right now with everybody. Brendan is a casualty. Vic is a casualty. Paulie's a casualty. Walter is the goal. So, with this happening here, we see Claudia and Brendan trying to make out with her. She's not into him. You can read all of her body language. There's nothing. There's nothing to make of that here. Nothing debatable here. She is not into that guy. But anyway, she sits on him. She rides my man. She definitely ate all my man come up. So we're gonna have to talk about that in a little bit, because I know she's not interested in him, but like, she has to understand what cause and effect happens in the
what pregnancy looks like.
What does pregnancy look like?
Clearly, Claudia let him shoot the club at every opportunity.
Clearly, and
he like to be getting a mini man with 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Like every time, Joe.
And I'm curious if that will actually be something, because like, that was very much like a But anywho,
later on we felt like that don't matter anyway, so it's fine.
No doubt. And I'm absolutely about to say it. I mean, it still could be something, because it is something. It could be something there. She's pregnant. That could protect her potentially because of Brendan's bloodline, but we don't know. But we don't have to go reaching all the way down that line. But she definitely got her club shot up, and we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, Claudia immediately after sex, one track mind, says, "I'm just thinking about my first move when I'm running the Flynn organization," and Brendan happens to be just the next person in line to inform Claudia of something everybody's been telling her now for I don't know how long. But hey, listen, in Dublin, they're old school, so they're gonna want to deal with Vic. They're gonna want Vic to be the next person. So listen, as long as Vic is alive, you'll never be queen. So at this point, Claudia is sitting here shuffling the deck, trying to figure out what's her next action to make. But I mean, but beyond her being, let me just finish this last thing, and then we could talk about it. But Brendan tells her, like, listen, even when Walter's gone, Devlin would never let you run the Flynn organization.
Never.
So she's stuck with a tough decision here. One is the realization of what everybody's been telling you, but clearly that doesn't work, because why would it have taken to this point for her to realize that you are always going to run against this brick wall? You're not going to go to Dublin and somehow, some way, make the want to be inclusive. Your campaign for women's rights ain't going to nothing but deaf ears there.
There's no women glass ceiling with Dublin.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's just not happening. And then it's like, well, the thing about marriage was never brought up, because Brendan never proposed it. And you said, why would Brendan propose? That dude is clearly in love with her. You know,
Yeah.
he's clearly in love with her, because I would even say
head over
heels. And I also would say, if there was even a potential of it happening, he would have mentioned it. And if there was even a reason why it couldn't happen, he also would have mentioned it as well, too.
Yep.
It's all the reasons in terms of like, he would have just said it there, point blank. But instead, he goes with the information that none of us could have guessed, that you could never be queen as long as Vic is alive, which means, is that somehow, some way, a gateway for her to get through? Would they somehow, some way make an exception if he's gone? My answer is no. My answer is flat out no. Because Brendan still has to go back to the Volturi. That's a Twilight reference. And answer. I don't care what's happening at the Collins house. That's also a Twilight reference.
Yeah.
You not bringing in Bella, Mr. Edward, also a Twilight reference.
Joe, ask for these new moon references, Joe.
Unless the Volturi approves this. But it's truly an accurate analogy here. Like you cannot go against Old Testament rules for the sake of you saying, I'm qualified. No one gives a fuck.
So basically, he told Claudia, hey, get rid of any threat that could stop you from doing this. That's the only way this is going to work. Like, you need to kill your dad. You need to kill Vic. Hey, if it's a little nephew running around here, kill him too. Like, kill all men, because that's the only way this is a possibility. And then still, we got to think about it, because no, we still don't want it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say, like, at this point now, Claudia is definitely my first thoughts about Claudia. She's like, all right, well, cool, gotta kill Vic. No ifs, ands, but I don't think there was any other consideration for her. I think she says, I need to kill Vic. And I believe there was folks in the comments saying it. I even might have said, I can't remember, but like, Claudia killing Vic will stop at nothing to get what she wants. Right on par. Right on par.
Yep.
So there's that. Anyway, we get to the barbershop. We'll talk more about Claudia in a little bit, because I think this self-reflection thing was the thing that happened all episodes. But we get to the barbershop, and the OG, my guy Jesse, we get a name drop finally, or at least I've never looked in the credits for it. But Jesse letting him know that, listen, Big Sid, man, Charlie Wally, you gotta go talk to Big Sid. Calls Jenard. Jenard doesn't pick up. But Diamond goes to see Shanti at the boxing gym to let him know. Excuse me, Jenard is with Shanti at the boxing gym, because Diamond called Shanti in order to let her know that their father is dying, and hopes she can get to Jenard, and she lets Jenard know, and Jenard breaks down. So
that's when she notices again the same issue with Jenard that everyone notices at this point.
You on that shit, boy. You on that shit.
That's all.
Listen, let me tell y'all something real quick. The next person that's on that shit in whatever pop culture or black television or movies, refer to them as Jenard. That's it. Jenard is the bar now.
Crazy.
And he's just getting started, because he damn sure was. I got these cheeseburgers later. I don't care what anybody say.
He's a millisecond from sucking dick for that heroin in that car. That's the way he got in that car. Said, oh no.
If we had any bit of unethical drug dealing happening from that very stand up, that white drug dealer who did not exercise his STARS contract, by all means,
or teeth, because there's a couple of there that wasn't there.
By all means, I'm putting that bet down on the sports book 9 times out of 10 that I know exactly how that scene's going to play out, and it certainly didn't. So y'all can think we tweaking, but we already knew what was happening there.
Hey, the moment he got in the car, and I said, "Oh man, he about to suck dick for drugs." Like already, damn it, Jenard.
I tell you what, though. Straight up. I think, let this have been like episode 7 or 8. They would have needed to go that route, because I think a lot of people had this maybe a misconception, unless you actually very first-handedly dealt with an addict.
Yeah,
you have no clue the extent of where they would go. Him giving the chain, that's just collateral. He just got it. He don't care about that. Just know There's no loss. There's
no
nothing.
sentimental
It's a come
value
on.
attached to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But to see him lose all his dignity for it is
Every bit of it.
truly normal for a crackhead. I don't know if anybody's seen what's the Tom Holland movie
Nope.
on Apple?
Cherry.
It's Cherry. It's called Cherry. It's just Cherry. It's just Cherry.
Yeah.
Prime example. If you've seen that movie on Apple TV, Tom Holland's character.
TV show.
Yeah.
It's TV show.
No, it's a movie.
Nuts.
It's a movie.
Which one am I thinking about then?
Cherry.
I'm thinking The Crowded Room.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Cherry. Yeah.
And everything else.
Yeah. Cherry's the movie. Was the movie, but like, that's the degree, a prime example in the degree of when somebody is completely strung out, the levels that they'll go to for. And I mean, we've seen it in other things. And I always joke about that. I got these cheeseburger and why that was like a running joke thing with what was the movie called?
Menace to Society.
Menace to Society. Yeah, don't be a menace.
Yeah.
Don't be a menace.
Wow. Oh, you went the comedy route with it. See, I got cheeseburger. I think of Menace to Society. I think
Don't be a menace. Yeah. But either way, like, you know, it's a joking thing. But like, I think like at some point, if Jenard does truly get to that rock bottom point, that's absolutely the execution that they could have capitalized on, and we would have been talking about like, yo, Jenard is definitely done. There's no coming back from here. But hey, it could be going that route because he just got his first real hit, and who knows? For sure,
life changing.
For sure. So we'll see. The
whole time I was questioning why Jenard wasn't freebasing, only to come out, he didn't know how to freebase. So he just snorting it because he don't know how to freebase.
So we got Diamond. So Diamond goes to see Big Sid, who blames Diamond for getting Jenard into dealing. There's a lot going on here, so I'm just going to just give it to you after these little cliff notes. So he talked about like his dad running off, and they're just bombing each other out with a lot of hurtful things, but truth also to some of it.
Yep.
And he says, Big Sid said, "You're just like me, no good." And you know, he says dreams do come true. He says, like, you know, when we put your punk ass in the grave.
And no feeling about it because you felt the anger build up in Diamond, and especially as his father decides to tell him how much you ain't shit.
That's interesting.
It's your fault.
I didn't feel a sense of anger. I just thought my man was just like on some like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I know we had a conversation in the past about what this anger looked like because while he wasn't displaying typical angry characteristics, I think there is a sense of maybe anger internalized over all these years. Then sort of he just found a way to get through it. But I think it was one of those things like he had some shit he wanted to get off his chest and he got it all off. And I think his dad did the same too. Like they were throwing blows at each other. But anyway, like I said, I'll let you articulate everything that's happening. So yeah, continue.
So what makes this conversation so amazing is, one, this is a son grieving that his father was never there. And this is a grown man having to deal with, I'm at the end of the road. But I don't want you to think just because I'm at the end, I'm going to apologize for what happened.
Yep.
When he told Diamond, I never wanted to have kids in the first place. That was all you needed to know about his thought process here moving forward and what it was going to be. Like, just imagine being forced into something, because that's what he makes it sound like. I was forced into being a dad and I never wanted to be one. But Diamond still also has to deal with, in the end, you're still my dad. Like, you see that longing for that connection that Diamond wants. Because even through Diamond saying, oh man, I'll be happy when I put you in the ground, at no point in time did any of that seem believable. It seemed like he was reacting because he was hurt.
Yeah.
And again, that's just not a place to operate from. So the father kind of sees through Diamond. And that hurts Diamond even more, because you're seeing through me and I don't need, not you. Anyone else could, not you.
Yeah.
So they were back and forth was highly important, down to you're horrible. You're the reason that Jenard is out here. My guy, you abandoned your family. pretty sure is the reason that Jenard's using drugs. I don't think it's Diamond Dell. Like it was a brave conversation because again, it's another one of these conversations in this episode that we don't get to see often.
Yeah. A lot of family issues left and right, man. We get Claudia and Brendan pushing up the timeline, and then he says, we gotta tell Vic, and Claudia says, I'll handle my brother. And as Brendan Doyle tells Claudia that to move it up, she doesn't actually tell Vic. In fact, it looks like Claudia may be having some other thoughts here because number one, her not telling Vic about the time being moved up 30 minutes is very critical. And we know this could get Vic in trouble. Yeah. She could be banking on that. Ultimately, I think she's realizing the bed that she's made and she's going to have to lay in it. So she doesn't tell Vic. And I think the moment where we see her pick up the text and kind of looking in the mirror, I think that was the realization of like, I'm about to get my brother. I'm about to get my entire family killed here. And she knows what she wants. For power, for sure. She knows what she wants, but I also think she's definitely maybe 10% still conflicted. I think there's a little bit of major hesitation. She's been very righteous in everything else she wanted to do beyond this episode. This episode just still, we all know the whole realization of like, you ever know, like, I want you want a new job, and everybody in the comments like, you want a new job, you apply for the job, I want to make more money. The job says, oh, well, how are you? Oh, that means now you have to drive a new direction. You have to also quit. You have to let them know. Yeah. And everything changes now. And you're sitting there like, holy shit, I actually got myself into this. Like, I definitely want this, but like, damn, I think like that's what kind of Claudia's thinking right now is like, I really.
When they told her what would happen if everybody was there. Yep.
And I think like, there's a part of her saying, I know this is not going to go right, but also I'm about to lose my family. And also there still has to be, again, in that 10% of her reconsidering everything is saying, if I kill my father, because you obviously don't have anything for yourself after this, by the way, and you lose your family, and you still may not get to run the organization. And then Devlin still may come.
We know that's gonna happen no matter what.
So I don't know.
Very clear.
Claudia, who I have praised to be on the intelligent side of things, which Vic said it later, like
it multiple times.
Vic says it later too. Like she's the brain of everything. She is the brains of everything. There's no doubt. Doesn't mean she know everything, but she is the brains of everything.
Hey, at times, even the brain and everything can slip up.
1,000%. 1,000%. So anyway, Vic is at the house, and he's there with Walter. He's like, oh, I thought it was just us. It says no, Paulie shows up because Paulie apologized for the assassination. So they made up. I love this, by the way. I know it's sad because of how this eventually plays out, but I love the fact that these were two brothers that they had some shit to say to each other and they made up and they backed the business.
Yep.
And I love Paul. Ooh, this gets me mad. We'll talk about it in a second. Anyway, Vic tries to call Claudia, and Vic does call Claudia at this point and says, and Claudia reaffirms that we're all set for now when it's really 8:30. And Claudia
realizes that she's all about setting up Vic also.
Yes, and she has blood on her hands and she knows it. So there's that. We'll talk about the big scenes in a moment. Let's get through everything. Jenard goes to the hospital, but he turns around when he sees Diamond. We get Tommy and JP at the house. Tommy is pissed that D-Mac left the house, and eventually just tells JP what happened about D-Mac killing the cop, and he needs to end this. So he texts his big Smurf because he needs a favor. So we got the dinner at Walters. What's up?
Quick though. Mm-hmm. Where did you think he was taking him at? Because I had so many theories. When he said that, I said, wait a minute. I'm trying to rack through my head like, I know he about to drop off in New York to Tariq.
Yeah, we didn't get to that scene yet, but I will say when he said he was going to drop him off, I thought they was going to pull one of those moves like on Your Honor. I thought they were going to put him on a bus and say get out of town. I thought they were just going to send him on a bus. And we'll talk about it in a second because I have an extra thought to this. Yeah, we'll just get to it in a second. But let's talk about the dinner at Walter. So Everybody's chilling, but guns are blasting. Vic looks at the time to reaffirm that it is early. So Vic is like, whoa, what the hell is happening? But Walter goes around the corner, hits the security cam, and I love how cool, calm, and collective Walter and Paulie is. Listen, if you've seen Tommy Flanagan in other shows, in just other titles, period, this is the most in his element he's been in his performance the entire time. Yeah. This is the true OG gangster. He goes to the security cam, and no, he's the big dog. Paulie should be at that thing. So the fact that he goes up, lifts it up, looks like Devlin's calling. He says, as expected. This right here, folks, which I know right now is on Peacock, this is the Continental. This is truly the Continental of them going in there, going into the safe room, getting all the guns, and they ready to go. And he's mentioned, said, like, Paulie and them trying to figure out, like, who shanks in this? Like, who? And then they're like, well, who cares?
Walk out with 2 guns, and Walter just walk out with a double barrel shotgun.
Damn right, and like, badass. Enough. I mean, listen, badass, and he's still the OG. He shouldn't be the most equipped here, but I mean, regardless, though, I still like how they set all of this up. This was my favorite scene for sure. But like again, they ask who sanctioned this. Paulie says whatever. But here's the most interesting thing of this, and I don't know if you picked up on this. Walter grabs his gun. Paulie grabs his gun. I'm sorry. Walter grabs his gun, looks back, and says, "It's time to go to work, son." And he looked at Paulie and said that, not Vic, as if he knew it's one or two things. Either he wanted to protect his son in his very harsh daddy way, or 2, he also didn't think that his son was about that life, and he did not even consider the idea of equipping him with a weapon. And in fact, look at the results. Vic looked like he was a deer in the headlight. Besides the confusion of the time, which I obviously can understand, but he also didn't look like he wanted to pick up the gun in the first place until my man Paulie let him know, hey, Uncle Paulie, like, you really gonna go out there with him? 1,000 times over for him and for you. And you already know Paulie turned into my man Vin Diesel right here, because the only reason he does this is for family. For family. Yep, that's right. That's right. Y'all heard it.
It makes sense for him to say that more than anything else, because we understand that's partially the reason that Paulie's so loyal. Is family.
Yeah, it's all for family. All right, well, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Once we get that Fast and Furious quote out the way, we're good. But anyway,
enough Fast and Furious quotes at this point. Everybody knows when we get into that path. They knew it was coming. The moment Paulie said that. They're like, oh shit.
Man. Yep. Man. He pulled the Jake up. He had to go out. He had to go out on top.
What we was missing is right after when Paulie got shot the first 2 times. If the moment that boom boom, it's been a long day. That's it. That's all he was missing, Joe.
At the end of the credits. Hey, it's, you know how they say for Paul, it says for Paulie.
Exactly.
Paulie O'Connor. That's his whole name.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're buying into it. Yeah, Fast and Furious Force is my favorite of all of the Fast and Furious franchise. Fast and Furious Force,
they sent D-Mac away like they sent Brian away. Is that
but yeah, Vic gets the gun, and he clearly not about that life. But then ultimately, after all the shootout, Paulie dies into the pool. But you know, Big Red and the Irish folks, they infiltrated the Flynn's mansion. And Paulie is killed by Big Red, but hits Walter in the leg. But as you mentioned, yes, you are right that there was a moment of Vic behind the corner and Big Red. So this is a funny scene. This is why I overlooked it, because it's Vic behind the corner who's at trying to what do you call it? Like shield himself, or what do you call it when you are posting around the corner?
Almost like it was ducking for cover, but it also seemed like he was trying to get to the point of not exposing it was him to Big Red. I think it was truly Vic trying for cover,
And the fact that he was like trying to be for cover, I think he never wanted to engage in action at all because this was part of his hit. But the fact that he was so visible while for cover, and Big Red just kind of looks over like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing here? Which, yeah, is an easy kill for him. So you're right about like him saying like, well, you shouldn't be here. And that's why Big Red had to like run all the way back and jump behind the fire pit and jump under cover, which got him out of position because those are easy kills. And then that cover that Vic is at is where he would have went. And then when you look at the shot, if he had that cover where Walter came out, is an easy kill for him. So it is an unfortunate thing that Vic was a part of it. But, you know, Claudia, man, blood on her hands because this is all her fault. But nonetheless,
it left the door open. I think it was, and it got left open from the beginning when you said, if he's alive, you can't be the leader.
Yeah.
That's all she needed to hear.
That's it. Blood on her hands. But Walter comes out. Walter's not fucking around, as I mentioned. He kills Big Red in the head with the shotty. Also gave him a few extra. But then after that, we have the moment of Vic and Walter. And this is just in a change about what happened with the plans. And Vic admits that him and Claudia was the ones who planned this entire things and finishes Walter, shoots him in the head. And this is right after, you know, Walter telling Vic that, you know, you got your mother's eyes, and he shoots him in the head after that. So I hate it.
Cold-blooded shot to the head.
Yeah.
But it made sense because it was the separating himself from his father.
Yeah. Jenard, he in these streets because he's trying to get a bag because he's sick. And this is what we already talked about by him is changing the chain for some heroin, and this is the first time that Jenard gets high off the heroin in this capacity here. And as he mentioned, he doesn't fuck with needles, and blast off motherfucker was the order that he was given from this guy.
It was very adamant that he walked up and the first thing he said is, I'm sick. And that's like code crackhead for I need drugs no matter what.
Yeah.
And then again, when he got shot in his vein, when dude said, oh my God, like I never thought fully like Jenard if he's never done this before, like no track marks or nothing, like he could be going down a very slippery slope and trying things he never would have thought about trying. Absolutely.
And we'll see what happens with Jenard next. But as we mentioned, like we joked about all the time, this entire time, but I definitely did not think this is how this scene was going to go. But here we are. Miguel goes to Dr. Kendall's house, and Dr. Kendall offers him a rollie. Instead, Miguel takes both of his hands and breaks it. So there is that. The real question is to prove a point. The real question once again comes: how will Maria respond to this? Because of course, it's going to get back to her. What will she do?
Does he know it was Maria's brother?
1,000%. I think it easily comes. I think it comes back to her. She will find out one way or another. She's either going to see Dr. Kendall hands broken and say what happened. She's going to know that's some gangster mentality. She's either going to dismiss it. She's either going to go back and confront her brother about it, or she may celebrate because she didn't like Dr. Kendall in the first place. So that's where I'm kind of at in terms of how does this all plays out. And I would love for you all in the comments to let me know how you think Mrs. Maria finds out about this. Maria's real name is Letty.
I mean,
or Mia.
You broke
She's Mia.
2 hands of a surgeon.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna know.
Yeah. Unless he's like Doctor Strange and somehow, some way he just uses like the
little star crystal to go back.
Yeah. I mean, it's Doctor Strange origin story. Maybe this is Doctor Strange. Maybe this is a whole Marvel movie. We didn't know it the entire time. Could be.
Thanos. It can't be Claudia.
It's Tommy because he canceling Christmas. Somebody said something about Thanos, and I don't know, something else. No.
Anyway, Tommy. It will make the most sense.
No, it's Ghost. It's Ghost. No, don't talk about Ghost, okay? Remember that person said that in the comments? That shit had me die. I cannot believe y'all. Somebody in the comments said, "Don't you compare Diamond and Ghost?" Came at me real strong. I'm like, all right, that might have been a burner account for for Omar or something. Who knows? Yeah. All right, what we got now? So Vic is waiting for Claudia at the meetup spot. It's 9:30, so it's just 30 minutes past the time, which not a good look. And Vic is kirking because he already knows what it is. We got Big Smurf and Bones as they get D-Mac. D-Mac was on his way to go see Shorty at the park, but he gets abducted like Alpha Dog. And after that, this is my second Alpha Dog reference in like the last day or two.
Nigga, I have not seen that movie in so long. I couldn't even
Love
do
it.
one Alpha Dog reference.
Yeah, I love it. You know the movie I was watching, Reptile. You seen it at TIFF. I just recently watched it.
Yeah.
And
I
JT.
prefer not to give any references to Reptile.
Oh, well,
Nothing.
JT was in it. Alpha Dog.
Yeah, that is it. He was also in NSYNC. I mean, certain things just don't need to be said.
Meanwhile, everybody's on the internet waiting for this NSYNC reunion.
I am. My ticket is ready. Ready for NSYNC's reunion, Joe.
I need Britney Spears to go on concert with those two knives too, by the way.
With them two little panties. With little plies.
With plies.
Little panties. Ready with that little pussy.
Oh my God. What in the world is happening here? But anyway, yeah, D-Max gets abducted by Bones and Bismarck put into the van. So Vic comes into the penthouse and confronts Claudia about the timeline, and she brings it on Brendan and shoots him and says he betrayed us. And Vic says, "Thank you for looking out for me." Clearly, he had other plans because that was not convincing at all. I was at one point going to propose. We didn't think he was thinking, but we already know because it happened later on in the episode here. But Vic had put 1 and 2 together very, very quick to know that Claudia set him up. Anywho, Big Sid, who did not die because when Diamond went and looked down that room and saw Diamond, he didn't back up because he thought that Diamond was there. I think he backed up because he thought his dad was already gone. But anyway, Big Sid apologizes for being hard on Diamond. And he basically, with his last request, told Diamond to look after Jenard. But, Diamond said, like, those Samson men, we don't give up early. And he says, Jenard's not as tough as you. And he said, you were the strong one, David. That's why I was on you like that. And he said, they call you Diamond because you're good under pressure. Tommy texts him. Tommy's also at the hospital, tells him that about D-Mac and agrees to work with King Kilo and CBI if CBI supplies the drugs. What the hell is this about? Tell me what this means. Why is Tommy making this deal all of a sudden and also agreeing to work with King Kilo if CBI supplies the drug?
It feels like guilt in some type of way.
Okay.
And the guilt is D-Mac. For him to say out the blue, I think he understands we do need to stop a lot of this violence. And if I would have stopped it earlier, if I didn't participate in it earlier, my nephew wouldn't have to go wherever I need to send him to.
Yeah.
So this is him noticing like it is good to do the deal. We need to be the supplier, yes, but there's nothing stopping us from doing this deal.
Yeah.
Because peace is more important than anything else.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I was definitely confused about that request, but I will definitely just take a back seat on this one and see how it plays out. But even with that being said, we do now get Kate asking about D-Mac. JP and Tommy tells Kate that he's gone. And my question here at this point was like, did they really write him off? Because they say he's not coming back. JP obviously just co-signed everything Tommy was saying. This is so funny because Kate says I raised animals, and I was like, Kate. And I'm so glad JP was like,
out of all things used to say,
you
ain't raised nobody.
Even we were animals, you didn't raise us. Why? That was hilarious. But I'm confused about why Tommy's pissed at Kate. Like flinging the ice cream through a little temper tantrum. What did Kate do wrong?
Remember, she helped D-Mac disobey him.
Oh, true. I'm so.
That's why Tommy's mad.
Yeah. You're right. Right. I was like, wait.
Every grandmother does, and Tommy responded like, "Nah, you can't do that."
Yeah.
I did it for a reason. I wanted him in here for a reason.
Yeah.
And Kate didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Jenard, anyway, comes to see his father, and officially his father has already passed. And this is Diamond just basically sending Jenard off on a positive note. And he repeated everything that his father did not say. Said he loved you more than anyone else, and he's sorry.
He was the favorite.
You were the favorite. Everything. And the two brothers have a moment saying, "What are we doing?" And whatever it is, we're not doing it right. And Diamond says, "I got you. It would be great if you came back to CBI," which is so funny because his dad just blamed him about getting Jenard into the game. So, in fact, to sum this whole scene up, Diamond did the complete opposite of everything that his dad said or told. So, in fact, even though they did make up, Diamond clearly did not.
Diamond was like, man, fuck you, not like him in the streets. He coming back to CBI. Like, what happened to treason? That's his shit.
Yeah,
like,
treason's done.
Do we now fold the remnants of treason into CBI?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just like how he just completely contradicted himself and everything, and just So, Diamond definitely, while they had that moment with his dad, I definitely think that wasn't about nothing to him. So, while Jenard is hurt about his dad being gone, Diamond could give a fuck. Jenard hurt, Diamond could give a fuck. So
I don't think that's true. I think Diamond cared a lot, and that was the issue.
Okay.
Is that he actually cared. Like, but it's hard to show that emotion from someone who's never shown it to you.
Okay.
I think they did the amazing shot of when he wakes back up and Diamond is still in that room.
Yeah.
Because if Diamond didn't care, Diamond would have left. There was no need for him to be there anymore.
Yeah.
But that was Diamond caring. And in the end, you're still my father.
Yeah.
And you're still that person I wanted you to be.
Right. All right, let's get down to the last two things of this episode now. So we got Kate, who, you're welcome, as I predicted, is now back on that stuff because, and not that I predicted this, as you mentioned, but she is back on that stuff. And I thought it would be with Tommy, but no, it's with D-Mac. Because of this whole situation with D-Mac, I guess she blames herself. She's back to using it.
They were with her about D-Mac?
No, 1,000%. This is also,
they killed him.
Yeah, this is also a catalyst to why Kate goes back to New York, and she is the Kate that we expect her to be. She came, she tried to heal, she tried to make things right. If D-Mac's not there, she has no reason to be there.
None. And that's why she immediately got her some drugs and said, nope, I need to escape this situation.
Yep.
It was one of the saddest scenes that they've ever put together in Power, of watching her break that way for D-Mac. And it made it sound like they killed him.
No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. So again, she just has a bit of her family just hitting in the world that she's not aware of. She thinks D-Mac is dead, and D-Mac is on his little house on the prairie. D-Mac is at this youth academy, and while Tommy lets him know via the phone call, I got an eye on you day and night. It sounds like Tommy was gonna say he loved him, but he didn't. And D-Mac gets taken into the academy. He says, "Man, this is bullshit. I don't fuck with cows."
I was trying to see, because it was named Great Shores or something of that nature. Yeah. And I was trying to see, okay, like, you prominently show us the name. I'm trying to think, was anyone else sent to that type of place before? I couldn't think of one though. Because when you show that and that prominence of that shot, you're kind of showing us so we know somebody else is here or went here also.
Right. I wonder who it could be. Y'all let us know in the comments. Y'all already, it's Ghost. It's every answer is Ghost every single time, except for that one person who says I'm not allowed to talk about Ghost or compare Ghost to Diamond. Or just mention Ghost, period. That person doesn't want me to talk about Ghost. And then there's the one person that always gets mad at me, that always says, like, I'm always forgetting something. So there's always the two. Those are my two most critical folks that I deal with.
It's not like we don't just watch the episode and jump on here and record and stuff.
Nah, I gotta be perfect. Gotta be perfect
at all times.
So yeah, D-Mac is there with some sources and
perfect.
shit.
While I'm up here searching to see who the hell else went to this facility that they got D-Mac in, because clearly you didn't show that damn name for no goddamn reason. No, like, all right, who the hell else went there? Clearly it's not Tariq, so then I got lost.
Yeah. We can talk about it in a second. The last scene we have really quickly here is we have a visitor for Stacey Mars. When they said they had a visitor, did you have a clue who you think it was?
No. Especially I ain't expect Vic to turn this fast, Joe.
Yeah, what's his end game here? What you think his end game
Make
is?
his sister suffer? That's the only thing I can think of. Other than that, it makes no sense. Because you have to turn on everybody. Everybody? And then people not get suspicious of your actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bit much. Like,
I don't know exactly what his end game may be, but I will say that like this could potentially protect him if Dublin comes through. Maybe this is a means for him to, but I mean, like he gave a legitimate reason as to why he's doing it. So anyway, just in case, let me just make sure I just cover his thing. So listen, he talks about like barely escaping for his life. His own sister tried to kill him. He wants a new life. He wants out of the game, which is something as soon as he said that's it, that's exactly what Gloria wanted. But as he says, like, I made a promise to somebody before and I plan to keep that promise. And he talks about Claudia, who keeps the book. She's the brain. I want her in jail. I want her to suffer. Death will be too easy. And he says, like, and Stacey Mars says, like, she's a start, but we're going to need you to get into CBI and give us everything, especially Tommy. And he agrees that I'll do it. I hope you take it down. So, you know, he asks all of this for immunity. All of this for immunity.
His whole focus is on taking Claudia down. Stacey's whole focus is on taking Tommy down.
All the time.
Yeah, this is not going to work out positively for both.
Yeah. I don't know how this plays out. I just think that beyond him trying to potentially get protection from Dublin and also probably trying to get put into Witsack and get put where Tasha's at.
Now. He would run it right now, so that's fine with him.
And he never cared about it. He's never cared about it.
Never did.
Yeah, so
but they're gonna come to him like he's the big boss now.
Yeah. Any other predictions or any suggestions, any topics, anything else we need to cover before we wrap up? I did look up Great Shores Youth Academy, and that thing is nothing to be found. So it is definitely a unique, it's a created place for power. And even if it was something from a previous show, it didn't pull up when I did a quick search. So this is new.
Anything. Yeah. But the shot was just so prominent. I'm like, am I missing something?
Yeah,
but
it's like, you know, the introduction to Choke and the introduction to you know, whatever the other school name is. It's like, this is obviously going to be a set location for something going forward. That's it. And unless this is somehow related to what's her name from Snowfall? It's slipping out of my head.
Wanda?
No.
Sissy?
Auntie.
Louis.
Unless this is Aunt Louie's family little spot with the horses and whatnot, or just a little refugee spot that she hid for a little while, I don't see the connection. Because y'all always connect things to Franklin. What about Louis? You know, nothing to Louis here? But nah, seriously, I think this is just going to become a new destination location for things to come. So, you know, we're just going to have to see who else either ends up here. Who else does we meet here? Does new characters get mad? Or, as I started to say earlier, are they truly trying to write D-Mac off for some time, which will be hideously handled. The fact that, as I mentioned last week on the show, you did all this building up for D-Mac, and now you're just like sending them off. I don't know.
Horses?
Well, horses.
Like, this horse shit ain't for me.
What horses? Yeah. So, anywho, is that it for us tonight? Are we done?
I think that's it for this episode. Like, again, 5th episodes of Power always bring everything humanly possible. and kind of set in motion the pieces you need to pay attention to for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Here, between killing off two huge characters and having Vic turn state evidence, that's a hell of a change.
Yeah. Crown Vic, not only the name of the car that's very comfy in the back seats, apparently, but Vic now wears the crown in the in the Flynn organization. So we will see what is to come, because we are back next week for episode 6. We're back this Sunday for our episode 5 live show. We have that interview with the director of tonight's episode dropping on the channel right now. And as always, you all get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, your theories, your predictions, all that good stuff about tonight's episode. Whatever you want us to cover for our Sunday episodes, you let us know that in the description, in the comments below. We will make sure we have those handled. So like, whatever big question y'all want to, like, what's next for Vic? You know, what does the backseat of the Crown Vic feel like? I don't ask me. I don't know shit about that.
Hey yo. That's Cam. Cam, it makes us say, hey yo. Don't
whatever crazy questions y'all got, man.
Crown Vic.
Yeah.
Who drives a Crown Vic? Tune in the next episode. They're gonna call it Mercury Marquise.
And anyway, that'll do it for tonight, folks. Thank y'all for tuning in for this episode, and we'll be back in just a couple of days with our live show. Thanks for tuning in.